You guys read the title of the video. Before we get started, hit that like button if you enjoyed, as it really does help out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy this type of content, so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. And once I reach my goal, I'm finally going to do a face reveal. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get this video started. Alright, at number 10, I do have Vida Vida of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Vida Vida, I mean, he's maybe one of the best pure nose tackles in the entire NFL. He's really good at stopping the run, of course, and super good at eating up double teams. But, that being said, he's not as good of a pass rusher compared to some of these other guys, and that does affect his ranking. But he's still a really good player, and last year he did have 4 sacks and 5 tackles for loss, to go along with 10 pressures. Now at number 9, I have Javon Hargrave of the Philadelphia Eagles. Javon Hargrave is coming off a career season, and he was superb for the Eagles last year. He is one of the better pass rushing defensive tackles in the NFL, and he's also not that bad of a run stopper. And I gotta say, a defensive line of him, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, on the interior. Plus, you got guys like Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, and heck, even Brandon Graham on the edge, and Derek Barnett. I mean, the Eagles' defensive line is going to be super good, next year, especially if Javon Hargrave can play like this again. And last year, he had 7.5 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss, and 46 pressures. Alright, number 8, I do have Leonard Williams of the New York Giants. Now, Leonard Williams' numbers, they did take a slight step back last year, but, that being said, he was still pretty good. Now, I'll admit, his run defense wasn't quite as good, definitely lacked the tackles for loss, but that being said, he's still a really good pass rusher, and the addition of Kayvon Thibodeau, plus Azeez Ojulari, he was good last year, but if he can, get better, that should help out Leonard Williams a lot. Also, Dexter Lawrence, I forgot about him. If Dexter Lawrence can also improve, that should help out Leonard Williams a lot, but Leonard Williams, nonetheless, still a very good player and still one of the better interior defensive linemen in the NFL. And last year, he had 6.5 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss, and 46 pressures. At number 7, I do have Kenny Clark of the Green Bay Packers. Clark is probably the best nose tackle in the NFL. He can stop the run well. He's good at eating up double teams, and he's also good at rushing the quarterback and generating pressure, especially for a nose tackle. And with the addition of Devonta Wyatt, I think Kenny Clark could be in for a career season, especially if Rashawn Gary also continues to get better as a player. But last year, he had 4 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, and 44 pressures. Number 6, I do have Jonathan Allen of the Washington Commanders. Jonathan Allen, despite the fact that, the Commanders' defensive line had a bunch of injuries, like Chase Young and, Montez Sweat missed some time, he was really good, and he is one of the better pass-rushing defensive tackles in the NFL. And if Chase Young can reach, fulfill the potential that a lot of us think he has, and a lot of us, hope that he reaches, then the Commanders' defensive line is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Because imagine having to block, theoretically, a top 3 edge rusher, plus him, and Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Fedarian Mathis, Montez Sweat. That's a scary defensive line to try and go up against. But yeah, Jonathan Allen, very good player, and, he is kind of young, so he could be higher on this list next year, especially if he does, continue to improve. And last year, he had 9 sacks, 10 tackles for a loss, and 58 pressures. At number 5, I do have DeForest Buckner of the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Buckner's numbers, they took a slight dip last year, but make no mistake, he's still an elite interior defensive lineman. He's really good at rushing the passer, and he's also good at stopping the run. And despite the fact that the pass rush help around him wasn't very good, he still produced, and I think it's a big reason why his numbers did take a slight dip. But hey, the Colts did add Yannick Ngakoue, and that should help him out. And if Kwity Paye can break out in 2022, I mean, he's going to have some nice help around him. And last year, he had 7 sacks, 10 tackles for a loss, and 48 pressures. At number 4, I do have Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Chris Jones, he did miss a few games last year, and his TFL numbers were somewhat low, but you got to keep in mind, this guy had absolute horseshit help around him. Despite the fact that the help around him was really bad, he still produced, very well. Really good at rushing the passer and generating pressure. And he's also not that bad at stopping the run. And if George Karlaftis can be productive, it should help relieve pressure off Chris Jones. And last year, he had 9 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss, and 57 pressures. And he did all of that in 14 games. At number 3, I do have Cameron Hayward of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hayward, despite his old age, is still one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. He might play next to TJ Watt, but he's still a really good pass rusher, and he's super good at defending the run as well. And Cameron Hayward, him and TJ Watt are the main things that make that defensive line elite. And last year, he had 10 sacks, 15 tackles for a loss, and 53 pressures. At number 2, our runner-up, it's Jeffrey Simmons of the Tennessee Titans. Simmons was elite for the Titans last year, and their defense, I gotta say, it is quite underrated, and Jeff might be the best player, for Tennessee on that side of the ball, and I gotta say, he is kind of overlooked. He is really good at rushing the passer, and he's also quite good at stopping the run as well, and last year, he had 8.5 sacks, 12 tackles for a loss, and 54 pressures. And at number 1, I do have Aaron Donald of the Los Angeles Rams. Let's try and make this quick because, let's be honest, pretty much everyone expected him to be at number 1. The guy's been elite for years and the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL for years as well. He commands double teams and even triple teams consistently, but he still wins a lot. And he's obviously phenomenal at stopping the run, and he's also phenomenal at rushing the passer and generating, pressure. And like a lot of great pass rushers, interior defensive linemen and edge rushers, he's really good at elevating his teammates. And I mean, we see guys, constantly that play next to him and perform well. We see them being called like Aaron Donald merchants and all, but yeah, Aaron Donald, the one word to describe him is really just dominant. The guy is just, he's just a beast, man. I mean, he's very clearly number 1, and he is always in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, and ignoring positional value, he might be the best player in the NFL. No joke. But yeah, last year, he had 12.5 sacks, 19 tackles for a loss, and 76 pressures. But that'll do it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, like, subscribe, do all of that stuff if you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, check me out on social media. The links to my Twitter and my Instagram, they are in the description below. And of course, check my podcast out. The link to that is also in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.